All right, we're back again with another episode of Roofer Reflections. We're excited to have John here. So, John, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Walk me through some of your experience.
After school, or I guess during school, I pretty much worked full time to kind of put myself through school by working for a university. So nothing related to roofing. So I did that for several years. And then about 4 years ago, got into the commercial roofing world and yeah, worked for one of the biggest shops in the country, doing some really awesome work and some really cool projects to be a part of. So yeah.
What were your early thoughts around where you were going with that?
I thought I wanted to go kind of into the military after school, and then kind of thought maybe the political world, kind of pre-law side of things. To make a long story short, all of those routes, there were some opportunities there, and then I met my now wife at the school, and her father happens. So now my father-in-law happens to be in commercial roofing. So towards the tail end of school, right after I graduated, her and I got together, and he said, "Hey, do you want to come down to Houston, Texas, to come roof with me?" And so that's what started kind of that transition. And it's been a good one, and it's been definitely a learning curve, completely different than what I had expected, but it's been a good one. So,
What is it like to work for your father-in-law?
it was a wonderful experience. Everybody asks that. So he is the vice president for roofing at Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing, and has been doing it for 23 years or so. I think he just had a anniversary there. Over the last 4 years, getting to essentially be right under him and learning everything there is pre-construction wise, but then eventually just, hey, how do you run a business, or what is a commercial roof different than a residential roof? And, the technical know-how, but also how to translate that into contracts and roofing itself, and putting jobs on the table for really to provide for people's families. He gave me the full picture that was I probably wouldn't have gotten from other people because he was my father-in-law.
Awesome. You work for Chamberlain, you're mentored by your vice president father-in-law now, and you're on you've launched your own company. I mean, how did that conversation go when you said, "Hey, look, I want to go off on my own"? Was that natural?
Yeah.
How did that come up?
Yeah, it was fairly it was very respectful, and I told him, I've respected what you put your whole life to. I mean, really the better half of 2 decades, to building this large premier company. I would just like to go do that same thing at a smaller level, and I still think there's enough room in the market for me to be able to do that. And I think he understood that, and of course he wants to take care of his daughter as well. And so I think there's some risk aversion there, where he was really supportive, but he also just asked me hard questions of, okay, are you sure you're ready to do this, and are you sure that this is what you want to do? And everybody at Chamberlain was couldn't have been more respectful, to just understand that there's a level of competition there, but also understanding that I was trying to do it in a way that I think respected them as much of a departure could be. But no, it was a tough conversation. So to answer your question,
What did you do to make sure you were ready? What was the pre-work before you've made the transition?
yeah, I think a lot of the pre-work was hard conversations about kind of understanding that I'm still fairly young, and understanding that I've only been in the industry for 4 years. Um, so understanding that there's plenty that I don't know, and respecting that, and knowing that I don't want to get over my skis, and I don't want to commit to too much. So I think part of that preparation process was trying my best to learn what I don't know, which is, you know, forming the business. What are the insurance requirements that I need to understand from a liability aspect? Everything down to how do we formulate original contracts, and then also how do we go run crews, and then so understanding everything outside of the pre-construction and sales aspect that I've understood the last several years. and switching that to say, okay, now how do I go run the business? And so there's been that process of the last year, everything from financials to organizing the business to um, who do we want to run these jobs? And so that's been a big learning curve, because if you are familiar at all with the Houston market, it's one of the most competitive markets for roofing in the country, other than maybe somewhere off the south coast or west coast of Florida. Outside of that, I mean, you don't have another area where there's more roofs outside of LA, with more competition, with storms that pop up all the time, and storm chasers that come into the market all the time. So you have a high concentration of really high performing individuals competing in a market that's heavily concentrated. And so realizing that it's like, okay, there's plenty that I don't know. So where do I start? And so that's been this last year is, and I'm still just trying to take a day at a time. But now we've got opportunity in front of us. So now we've got to systems check and say, okay, we've done this preparation for the last year. Now we got to go execute. And so, yeah.